right, hello and happy Saturday to all of you. So today we're going to put, we're going to close the book on the Delaware Thunder, which, I mean, it was kind of thought that the book was already closed anyway, but things were made official this last week. The league made the decision. It came out that the charter for the Delaware Thunder team was being terminated. Unfortunately, to be dormant, which Delaware was last year, you do have to pay fees to the league, and those fees were not being paid. And so the league made the decision that, yeah, that's it. So let's kind of just recap the story, because Delaware is a very intriguing story. Here's a very small market team playing in a very small arena, sat 700, but that place was packed every single night. Every time the Thunder went out on the ice, the place was jam-packed, and it was loud. The Thunder fans, some of the most dedicated fans I've ever come across. And so for them, it's really, really too bad that things ended up this way. And you know, is there hope for hockey in Delaware in the future? Well, obviously not professionally, but you know, there still could be some hockey. Now, there is collegiate hockey up in Newark and Wilmington, up in the top part of the state. Down in the southern part of the state, where the Thunder were located, not so much. All right, so to kind of get an understanding of what happened here, you know, was this an experimentation by the league? Why didn't it work out? We do need to look a little bit at the team president and owner, Charlie Pence Sr. Now, Charlie Pence, before bringing the Thunder to the FPHL, he was involved for a number of years in both junior hockey and in youth hockey. He's coached, he's done a lot of behind-the-scenes work in those areas, and it seemed like that was actually more of his forte, that he was able to develop some young talent, help them progress, and get into collegiate hockey and maybe professional thereafter. So he was involved in a small junior hockey league called the American East Hockey League back in 2005 for a couple seasons. There were some issues within the league, and so his team, as well as some other teams, left that league and joined the United Junior Hockey League, which ironically, Barry Soskin, who we're going to talk about tomorrow, was also involved in that league. So Soskin and Penn's paths crossed a couple times in the past. So anyway, you know, things didn't really pan out. 2010, that junior hockey league shut down. And for a while, Penn Sr. just focused on youth hockey in Delaware for a number of years. But he always had a passion for a higher level of hockey for Delaware. He really felt that Delaware was a very underserved area as far as hockey being available. Perhaps he's right. The problem is in Delaware, there's not a whole lot of venues. There's not many venues to choose from. And so choices are limited. So anyway, the Delaware Thunder are announced on May 29th, 2019. And of course, Don Kiernan's there. The big announcement that Delaware Pro Hockey LLC is bringing in pro hockey to Delaware, and that they would be playing at the center ice rink at the Delaware State Fairgrounds in Harrington, Delaware. At that time, you couldn't even seat 700 in that arena. The seating was expanded, and there was a promise made that seating would be expanded even further than the 700. And that never came to be, and that was one of the sticking issues in the ongoing relationship between Delaware State Fair Committee and Charlie Penn's Delaware Pro Hockey. He wanted more seats put in. And there's no doubt in my mind that if they were able to expand seating, let's say to 1,000, the place still would have been filled every night. I've heard that most nights for a Delaware Thunder game, everyone would line up, go through the one door into the arena to get in, and that there were always people turned away. The Thunder didn't have a problem bringing people in, despite their kind of anemic record. Now, Delaware was one of the teams that helped the Fed get to 10 teams for the first time. This was in the 2019 to 2020 season, of course, famously known as the COVID year. So coming in as well was the Danbury Hat Tricks. Danbury had been without hockey for a couple of years. The Columbus River Dragons, that's turned out to be a great move, as was Danbury. And then the Battle Creek Rumblebees. We've talked about Battle Creek. We won't go there here. All right, so the attendance the first year, because it did take a little while to kind of warm the community up, first year was 500 fans per game. The team got off to a rough start. And, there's been some great players that have played for the Thunder. Go through the list. You have Ryan Marker. Yanni Lariakos was a Thunder player for a while. Taylor Cutting. Charlie Pence Jr., now coach and GM of the Watertown Wolves. Alex Basie. Alex Susi. Houston Wilson. And then the goaltenders. This was the hallmark of the team, is that the team always seemed to struggle offensively, not just putting goals up on the board, but just generating offense and spending time in the offensive zone. Majority of action was usually in Delaware's own zone, but they always had great goaltenders to keep them in games. First year, Aaron Taylor, who had played previously with the Danville Dashers. After COVID, in comes Trevor Babin. We all know Babin. We all know what he's capable of. The following year, as Babin was now in Motor City, you had Trevor Martin put up great numbers. And when I say great numbers, I mean you just first glance, you look at the numbers for the goaltenders and you go, that wasn't that good. If you saw them play, if you actually watched them play, you'd recognize the great work that they did. So anyway, Delaware struggles through the season, gets hot right before COVID hits, wins 3 in a row to move within 3 wins or 9 points of the Mentor Icebreakers, who are above them in the standings. So they were on the cusp, with 11 games remaining in the season, of grabbing a playoff spot. And then COVID shut everything down. And I don't think any team really got hit as hard, maybe besides Mentor, because Mentor never came back. I don't think any other team got hit as hard as Delaware Thunder. Every bit of momentum that they were gaining was gone. So Charlie Pence makes the decision, uncomfortable as it was. It seemed to be the right thing to do at the time. Announced Delaware, along with several other Fed teams, were going to be dormant for the 2021 season. All right, so that first year, 13, 31, and 1 was their record. All right, so 2021 comes around. Delaware comes back. And now the league is 7 teams. All right, so they go through the year, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle all year round. The team ends up 9-42-2. Obviously, a step back from the first season. It just, the things just weren't happening. Delaware just constantly pinned up in their own zone. So we get to the last year, and that is 2022 to 23, and Delaware has a rough year. Gets off to a pretty decent start. They're struggling, but it's not horrible. And then from November 5th to February 11th, they go through a 28-game winless streak. A couple of overtime losses, so they gained a couple points, but that was it. Set an all-time record for pro hockey in the United States for futility, even beating out the Battle Creek Rumblebees. Rumblebees had a winless streak of 24 games. Delaware eclipsed that. And that really just seemed to be the omen for what was to come. So everything starts to unfold. On March 29th, the Delaware State Fair announces that they are not going to extend the contract with the Delaware Thunder, that the Thunder, weren't going to be able to use center ice as their home rink. Negotiations begin in earnest, at least attempted in negotiations. Things just aren't progressing. And really what it boiled down to was a battle of personalities. The head of the Delaware State Fair Board, who I forgot to write his name down, and Charlie Penn Sr., both of them blaming the other party for the status of the contract not being renewed. Final game, April 15th, and Watertown ends up squeaking out an overtime win, 5-4. And the crowd sensing that this probably was it for the Thunder. A huge round of applause for the Thunder players. And off go the Thunder off the ice for the very last time. So negotiations begin in earnest. First, Charlie Penn announces he's going to build an arena in Dover. He's got a great vision. So he said, in the meantime, we'll explore our options. There are negotiations with an arena in southeastern Pennsylvania. That doesn't work out. There are other arenas that they look at. There's one in Maryland, but they decide not to go with that because they couldn't get a liquor license there. There's many arenas that they look at. New Jersey, they start looking in New Jersey, and it's leaked on June 11th that the Delaware Thunder are temporarily relocating, hopefully for 2 years, to Brick, New Jersey. News was not supposed to get out, but it did. And so Charlie Penn said, you know what, I'm getting all sorts of feedback from my Delaware fans here saying, what are you doing? You're moving the team on us. The fans didn't understand that this was going to be a temporary move while an arena got built. And ultimately, Charlie Penn makes the decision, all right, I'm just going to file for dormancy. That, I feel, was the death knell for the team. I feel that if he had been able to field a team in New Jersey for a couple of years, that he would have been able to generate income and revenue and resources to get an arena built. But it never happened. So on the 17th of June, he says, the 19th, excuse me, he says, no, we're filing for dormancy. He announced the plans for Dover Ice Arena, and it never comes to fruition. As a matter of fact, there's not even plans drawn up, even now, over a year later. Charlie Penn at the time said we looked at a lot of possible temporary sites. but decided to remain focused on plans for a new facility in the great state of Delaware. Maintained dormancy for last year. However, the last few payments that he was supposed to make to the league, he didn't. And so off go the Delaware Thunder quietly into the night. My take on Charlie Penns. He's a great visionary, very passionate about hockey. He's a very, very passionate man. He wears his heart on his sleeve. As someone who is like that myself, I can relate. Sometimes when you wear your heart on your sleeve, you show a little bit too much and you become vulnerable. And I feel like at times Penn Sr. Put himself in a vulnerable place. He loves developing talent. Perhaps his passion for the game just didn't translate to the pro level. I'm not sure. He did serve as the head coach the first year and, still GM the last 2 years. It just seems like he had great plans and great vision, but he just didn't have the ability to practically follow through on it. And I'm not saying that as a slam to him or on him. I'm just saying that there are people like that. They are visionaries, and they see something, they birth something, and then somebody else, for it to be successful, has to take over. And I feel like that just didn't happen. I feel if Penns had had some people with him that could have been able to understand his vision and move it forward, perhaps the Thunder would still be around. It's hard to say. But we're bringing a close to the Thunder. The Thunder are no more. Maybe there's hockey in the form of a juniors team in the future. Maybe down the road, Penns gets this arena built, but right now he's 63 years old. He's got limited resources. I'm not sure that he's able to generate enough time and resources and people to make this happen. And it's sad. Again, especially for the fans in Delaware who were great, great fans. So there you go. There is the story about Charlie Penns and the Delaware Thunder. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Mr. Barry Soskin because he's been kind of in the news on social media as of late. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, and make sure to follow me on Facebook. We'll catch you again tomorrow.